not the European Union or more, is that I'm the first elected chairman of the European Scrutiny Committee. Hitherto, it's always been the power of the whips. If it was down to the whips, I'm quite sure I would be the chairman. Having said that, however, we have a very harmonious committee, and I'm very grateful to you for giving such a good explanation of the process from the House of Lords point of view, because there are very considerable similarities with ours, with one exception, or two exceptions, and that is that we don't go into debates on a theme basis. We go through every document. So of all the 1,000 documents that Tim referred to, we go through every one religiously every Wednesday, and then we decide under our standing orders, it's not a whim, it's laid down by Parliament, that we have to decide in the committee, which has about, 14 members or so, the decision as to whether or not we want to recommend it for debate. So if we want to recommend it for debate, it's on the basis of whether it is political or legal. And this is all laid down by our standing orders. So we make the decision on that footing, and the same provision relating to scrutiny reserve applies to what we say as in the House of Lords, and woe-betide in a minister, except in exceptional circumstances, who goes ahead and makes a decision in the Council of Ministers if we've said it should be debated and they just simply willfully ignore it. There are exceptional circumstances, and we do exercise a degree of discretion, but we are pretty tough on it, and if they do it in a manner which we regard as unacceptable, then we haul them in front of the committee, and there we are. We will then expect them to explain themselves. The debates take place in two main forums. The European Standing Committees, of which there are three, do not have at the moment permanent membership, but what that means is that they're appointed by the whips to turn up on a particular day, and then the minister has to respond after there's been about an hour and a half's examination of the issue in question, where people who are in the committee on either side of the chamber, that is, in committee, not on the floor of the House, ask questions about the issue in question to the minister. And as one recent minister who gave evidence to an inquiry I'll mention in a minute said, this is quite a grueling experience because they really have to do their stuff. My committee at the moment is proposing, or we're holding an inquiry into European scrutiny, because as chairman I wanted to sort out two things in my new capacity, and having been on the committee since 1985, right, so that's quite a long time, therefore I have quite a lot of knowledge of what's been going on over all those years, and having been elected 2.5 years ago, my first step was to set up an inquiry into the relationship between British sovereignty and the European Union. And we managed to dispense with a number of well-established myths about sovereignty, because our sovereignty remains in the United Kingdom Parliament, and it will stay there. The second thing is with respect to the question of the whole business of the scrutiny process itself. And I decided, and my committee agreed, that we should have an inquiry into the nature of scrutiny, because, and that's not with regard to what goes on in the House of Lords, this is to do with us. We want to improve it, because I personally have long believed that there is something of a disconnection. And we are improving it. We've had a report. In fact, the draft report is going to be given to me this evening, because we've completed our inquiry to a great extent, and we're now moving into the next phase of publication, etc. Now, that is the process, and I'm very happy to answer questions, and Sarah Davis, my distinguished clerk of the committee, is here, and she will answer other questions as well. But I want to come on to another matter that I'm not going to take up more than my allotted time. But I'm going to say this, on the piece of paper that you've got, right, which is the method of getting as many of you here as possible, I suppose, not just to hear about process, but to hear about issues. Has the UK membership benefited the UK? Question mark. What does the future hold for the UK and Europe? Question mark. How does Parliament debate EU issues? Well, the third point about the debating issues I've covered to some extent in the 5 minutes allotted to me. I'm not going to deal with that, but I am going to deal with the first two very quickly. And I'm going to say what I think. And I'm going to step back from my position as chairman of the committee, and I'm going to tell you what I think as a member of Parliament who is one of the signatories to the referendum bill, which has been deposited, and on which questions can be taken later if you want. And the bottom line is, I don't think that EU membership has always benefited the UK, although I do think there are certain elements within the framework of a cooperation in Europe where we can benefit. In a nutshell, and of interest no doubt to our distinguished chairman, just to take one statistic, we've been told the single market is absolutely fantastic, it's the jewel in the crown. The trade deficit between ourselves and the other 26 member states, and I'm now talking about has the EU membership benefited the UK? We can go into other questions about peace, stability, and all the other issues relating to the question of institutional democracy. I don't think it's democratic. I'll get that one out of the way for a start. And in respect to the trade deficit, in 2011, our trade deficit, which is current-account transactions, goods and services, imports, exports, for those who regard this as a fundamental question, which it is. It was 47 billion deficit in 2011. Now, you might think that's a lot of money. By the same token, by 2012, it had gone up to 70 billion. Now, these are ONS statistics. They're not just Eurosceptic views. This is from the Office of National Statistics and the House of Commons Library. In terms of the surplus that we have in the rest of the world, we're running at about 13 billion, and it could be much expanded. And then the other side of the equation is what does the future hold for the UK and Europe? I should say, look at the dysfunctional nature of riots, unemployment, the whole question of democratic legitimacy, which is more general than I can deal with at this moment, but we'll be very happy to deal with later. I'm going to be debating this on behalf of the House of Commons in Dublin next week with all the other national chairmen of all the other member states. And in a nutshell, the future for the UK and Europe is that if it transforms itself into a workable, non-dysfunctional system, it can help by cooperation between member states. But European government is not a good idea, and you can't have two governments and two parliaments dealing with the same subject matter. I'm a constitutional lawyer, and I'm telling you, as a matter of my personal judgment, that it is not possible to continue with two governments and two parliaments. And we can discuss that later with Professor Bondi, I've no doubt. But in a nutshell, there are very serious problems in the present nature of the European Union, and the relationship with the UK is on the edge. Thank you very much.